I think I am live. Am I live? I am live. Okay. Um, hey, it is Ronald the Rules Lawyer, and as you can see, I have a new setup. I got a second computer, and you can see I have a big Calyx shelf behind me with a bunch of my games, and a second camera with Megan, my cat. So welcome to everybody. I see there's already a lot of people here. Lord Antisonic is thirsty for this. Greetings, everybody. And I'm going to be reacting today to XP to Level 3's video. And I thought I had this, here we go, feature set up, I do, where he gives his thoughts on One D&D. I like XP to Level 3. I like his comedy skits, and I like some of his takes. And so there were some things that what is it? I should have thought about this more. I did see his GigaChad DM GigaChad video where he, I think unironically, said that he was not tracking hit points for his battles, and he was presenting this as ideal GM behavior. And I know what I was thinking. I was just thinking to myself, damn, this is a lot of his shtick in his skits is being a beleaguered DM, and I just watched his if Fellowship of the Ring were D&D video, which was kind of a rant in disguise about being a DM, I thought, and a lot of things that happen in campaigns and DMs preparing lots of material that the players bypass, and players who power game and having to deal with that. And I was just asking in my server, does he have experience with other systems outside of 5e? Because the idea that a ideal GM would not track hit points is, I think, something that one that is I feel like it's that's a big burden to bear, to kind of assume all of this, trying to have this image of maintain this idea that your game is deadly while keep protecting the players and taking on the responsibility of entertaining them. And 5e, I think, doesn't give much support to the DM to provide that kind, to walk that line. And I just wondered if he had experience outside of 5e. I hear that he had a little experience with 3.5, but not much. So I'm going to look at the chats. Kitty, hell yeah, says Evander. Yes. Yes, the power of multi-screening. I'm very excited about this new setup. You get to see me and Megan. Isn't this great? Isn't she the sweetest cat? And if you like Megan, you have to watch the 10K celebration stream, because she played a starring role there. Evander says, no tracking HP feels more like no matter what action you do, it dies when I say it dies. Yeah, and the problem is he put a video out there. And you know what I mean? So, like, 1 million people have seen it, and not all of them were GMs. And so now everyone's gonna look at their DM who rolls behind the screen and wonder, okay, what is going on? Are they fudging their rolls and their hit points? Okay. Evander says Jacob is comes off as a WotC fanboy. So, comes off as that. I don't know. I think he loves the game, but loves the hobby. And he just strikes me as someone maybe who... I just want to know what experiences he has had with other systems, and how much of it is just his perspective comes from that. So I would be, I just don't know. If he's a fanboy of something, it's of playing in the game, I think. At least. Yeah, and some of Jacob's videos are exaggerated for the comedy, but they resonate for a reason, and he knows his audience, and he knows that some of them do reflect some reality. And yes, part of his shtick is like being the leaguer DM. He did run the Tomb of Horrors and disliked running that. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Yeah, and I think there was some interest on my server because I tend to have people who are refugees from 5e on my server and who subscribe to me. This, of course, is not true of all my viewers. And you can still play Pathfinder 2nd Edition and play other systems. Obviously, it's not like you have to leave one game for the other. But I think there is some interest because, and this was proposed because of, oh, Megan's so cute. He's not my target audience usually, or the people who watch his videos. They're kind of more, you could say, the mainstream was the word used. I think I'm gonna probably not have as an anti-Jacob take as some might think. I'm kind of much more of a I get along with pretty much all the kids that I ran in my middle school program, and I liked all of them, genuinely liked them, even those that irritated the hell out of me. So I'm kind of like that. We'll see. I'm pretty. I think I'll have a pretty open take to him and his audience. No Inquisitor says he is a self-described theater kid. His skits are hilarious. His GigaChad player video, the GigaChad player, I really liked. He has the power of, he can make his. He's a good actor. Andrew Webb says, to be honest, a lot of his content comes across as one of those people who try to fix 5e to the point of borderline absurdity rather than trying a new game. I know he has 2 videos full of house rules for 5e. The thing is, too, I think his players would move with him to any other system. But he seems to be happy with the system so far. So I'm expecting, a less critical eye than mine, and less of the perspective of someone who's tried other systems. Maybe he has tried other systems, but I'm guessing that's where his starting point is when he looks at One D&D. Because I think I've been on the One D&D forums, specifically the Reddit, visiting every now and then, and there is a section. It's not a consensus, of course, but there is a sector of people on that subreddit who. Honestly, I'm not judging them, but I honestly think they don't have much experience outside of 5e, and so tend to look at some difficulties in running 5e or some less than ideal, some problems in 5e is just, this is just true in all games. Like high-level plays, you can't balance high-level play. That's a view I see sometimes. When there are systems that show it is possible, and even in an OSR game, there was never the pretense of having balanced fights anyway to begin with, and anyway. I'm kind of jumping around. Oh. Blair says Jacob plays other games. He's running a Fallout 2D20 game right now, I believe they say. Yeah, 2D20 is something I've heard in a podcast, audio podcast, is something to try out. So if he's trying that out, I imagine he's tried other games then. Kay says even though Kay has drifted away from 5e, they still enjoy his videos a lot. I really enjoy his videos, yes. Evan Dor subscribed recently due to the Treant Monk and other D&D YouTubers trying PF2E game. That we just had our second play session. It's been going well. I'm glad you subscribed. This channel's kind of had a mini explosion. We when I dropped the trailer, we were just under 10,000, and now we're at 11,000 subscribers. And the Patreon quadrupled in size. It's been kind of awesome. Kate Eve says Jacob has played other systems but thinks 5e jives with his style the most. Yeah. I think 5e. I'm open to that statement. I do wonder. I've been increasingly convinced that those who want more rules light should go more rules light. I don't know 2D20 that much, and whether that's even rules light. I just know that some people I like that system. So maybe he's ventured in that direction. It's kind of a middle-of-the-road game. I can see if there's a reason to do it, it's to please a variety of things that different players want, who are not very picky about getting, say, narrative play, or picky on getting tight tactical play, getting them at the same table. Evander says they run 5e with a bit of an OSR mentality. I don't design stories, but rather conflict in the player actions and die rolls create a story, as well as more so sandbox-style games. Yeah, Derek from Knights of Last Call says he enjoys 5e, and I think 5e works best with a veteran DM who can kind of eyeball things and is not trying to aspire to, tense, tight combats all the time, and is happy just kind of anyway, who has a set of expectations of more of an old school kind of sandbox kind of game. I do think that approach might get bogged down though once you get to like the mid and higher levels, as some player abilities and some spells start to shut some things down, maybe. That's my belief. Okay. Cool. I think now's a good time to start. I see some back talk between folks. So it's not a short video. It's 36 minutes. So here we go. Tell me if the volume is all right.
Hey everyone, this isn't the point of this video, but it is important that I talk about something before we get into all of this. As of this recording, I was about halfway through editing the entirety of this video when I discovered that I needed to add this bit into the beginning because it not only affects me, but also all of you. I've been a pretty big supporter of One D&D. I'm excited to see where the rules are going to go, and in this video I talk a lot about that. However, Wizards of the Coast has not been clear on whether or not there is going to be an open game license for One D&D, which...
Oh. To be clear, I watched the first 3 minutes of this video before, and I realized it's probably something I should react to 3 minutes in. So I've seen this bit.
If you don't know, the OGL is a public copyright license that may be used by creators to copy, modify, and redistribute some of the core rules of D&D. The existence of the OGL is how many of these creators make their living. No, never mind! This entire section is worthless now. This is what I get for taking 2 weeks to upload a video. As of today, the last day that I'm editing this video, Wizards has clarified that there is going to be an open gaming license for One D&D, except it's a little bit different now. You have to sign a license, and this license means that you have to report if you make more than 50K a year from the open gaming license, and you have to pay royalties if you make more than 750K. Which, like, that's a whole thing that is not the point of this video. I tweeted about how I feel here.
Oh wait, what was that?
A whole thing that is not the point of this video.
Okay. So he has some skepticism in that tweet, saying, accept the license terms and let us know what you're offering for sale looks tricky.
I tweeted about how I feel here. I just want to clarify that it is important that we continue to support One D&D having an open gaming license, and to the creators that make lots of content for the D&D community.
Okay, so he, I think in my other videos, my bottom line is it looked like they're trying to monopolize the VTT space, and as for whether people can continue publishing for 5e or for 6e under a relatively open OGL, we have to see the fine print. We need to see. This is a lawyer saying we got to read the fine print, and they said early 2023 because some things are not that clear. And I'm glad Jacob has the tone of that tweet was not full rah-rah, and that he just said right now that people should continue to be vocal. So I'm happy he said that.
Okay, actual start of the video. Wizards of the Coast a few months ago went, we're making new core books, because these are like 8 years old and definitely need some revisions. Here's some stuff we want to do. It's all bound to change, and we'd like you to play test it and tell us what you think. I haven't really had a proper chance to sink my teeth into One D&D. I've mostly just had people tell me what they heard, and I skimmed the first PDF when it first came out, and
I realize I need to get some water. And we're just getting started. So I think this is a good time. Chill, continue your conversations. I'll be back, and Megan will have to get settled in again. Whoa, I don't think I've ever gone over 100 viewers, concurrent viewers. That's great. Welcome, everybody. Including Jacob followers, who probably got noticed by the algorithm. Yeah, Section 9 says that of the OGL, the current OGL, says that people who, that if this OGL ever gets revised, that you can publish anything under, that was released under any version of the OGL. And the OGL, okay, 5e, it's released an SRD under the current OGL. Section 9, I think, means that if 1.1 of OGL is released and 6e releases an SRD under the new OGL, Section 9 should mean that you can continue to publish 5e compatible products under the current 1.0a OGL. And I do wonder, though, someone with more experience with IP law, it's not my specialty, and the law can be pretty tricky sometimes. I do wonder if there might be some claims by WotC that 5e compatible products are 6e compatible in every way but name. That the very similarity of the two editions might be a backdoor way of invalidating the 5e publications. But at least from what we've seen in Wizards' recent announcement, this really only seems to have a practical effect, from what we've seen so far, on those who earn more than $750,000. But what was I going to say? I don't know what the future is, and another thing I've been saying is that if they really wanted to go after 5e publishers right now are using the same OGL that Paizo publishes Pathfinder under. The same OGL. It's just that Pathfinder's based on the SRD of 3.5 edition, whereas 5e publishers are depending on the 5e SRD released under the same OGL. And Wizards, if they had wanted to invalidate the current OGL, I think they would have really wanted to do that, particularly in 2008, 2009, when Paizo was emerging as its biggest competitor. So there's been all these years in which publication under the current OGL has been happening. And if they tried to close that door, they would... I can't imagine anything uniting fans of all systems, of RPG systems, more than WotC trying to close that door. Thankfully, the hobby will live on no matter what WotC does. Okay, so just some thoughts there. Okay, I'll continue playing this video that y'all came for. Oh, it's 124 viewers. Oh my god. I wonder if the algorithm... Hey, everyone, do a like. I don't have anything to reward you with. I maybe someone will have an idea.
But last thing, I haven't really had a proper chance to sink my teeth into One D&D. I've mostly just had people tell me what they heard, and I skimmed the first PDF when it first came out, and I talked about that on our podcast. But last week, I sat down and read all 3 of them, and now I'm going to share my thoughts and hopefully help the rest of you better understand the future of D&D and help you come to your own conclusions about it. I love this game a lot, and I am excited and hopeful for the future of it, and I'm happy that we have a way to contribute towards it. I just want to come out the gate and tell everybody watching this video that you should go read or skim or get an idea of what these PDFs are and make sure to vote on the surveys. It's just good for everybody. This helps our ideas and our voice be heard and, you know, it helps make everything better for everyone. With that being said, skip ahead if you don't care. Care about this part. If you're one of those people I've unfortunately had the opportunity of seeing that think that One D&D is a big corporate marketing scheme in order to sell you a subscription service to keep your physical books up to date, then, did you accidentally cast Feeble Mind on yourself? You know that they've released free errata for books in the past, right? And you know that D&D Beyond is a subscription service that gives you books and keeps them up to date and has been that way for years? And I'm not saying Wizards or Hasbro is exempt from criticism. I just think that One D&D as a whole exists and is free for everyone to read, play test, and participate in because WotC wants the game to have feedback from the community on what they like and dislike, which they have already admitted to doing.
Over the course of the next year and a half, we're going to try out different versions of core rules and then see what people think of those different versions.
I just see 2 different issues being mixed together here. One, the One D&D process is something that I've been critical of, but not for being a subscription service. Maybe because the announcement trailer both announced the playtest and this One VTT, the One D&D VTT, that they're kind of being mixed together, but I think that's a different... I think what Jacob's talking about here is they seem to be listening to and wanting feedback about the playtest materials. which is a different thing. I don't think them starting to charge for things that are currently free is ruled out, however. So I don't agree with him there. Oh, thank you, Jeremy, who gave a contribution. Notice new OGL adds control of video content now. Yes, the new OGL listed, it said that it does not extend to people who make videos. I don't know exactly. The videos can be many things, but I said my thought on that in my thoughts on their press release, that, you know, me quoting 6E rules in order to comment on it probably falls under fair use, and they probably can't touch that. That would be pretty scandalous of them. Okay. Original says, I don't like this dude's opinion since he openly said before that he is biased because WotC gives him free stuff. He probably said he gets free stuff. A lot of YouTubers do that, who will give that disclaimer. I don't know if he actually says I am biased because of the free stuff. I don't know if he said that. Okay. Cat, yes, Megan's coming, and I'm going to turn on the Megan cam again. All right. Come on, Megan. Okay. More stuff on the OGL that, you know, we need to see the writing, see it in writing.
A great example of this is how we're handling critical hits. In our video last time, talked about the fact that the previous Unearthed Arcana had a rule that we knew was very experimental. Right. We've already seen some of the responses, and you're going to see this time the current version of the playtest. We are using the critical hit rule as it exists in the 2014 Player's Handbook.
So what I think Jacob is attributing to those he was kind of, what's the word? Characterizing, was that they were saying this is just a a set of things to get you hyped, and that it's not an actual play test. And he's going to say, well, they actually responded to feedback. I share the sentiment that it's not an actual play test, but I have a different, more nuanced take. I think it's it is mostly a marketing. The main problem is that they're doing a very limited thing that is kind of has the appearance of a play test, but is mostly about driving up hype, and that they're limited by their decision that they've made in advance that they will stick to a lot of stuff in 5e that I think is antiquated and should be revisited. There's like, for example, one of the big complaints right now that's been bubbling up in the conversations online is that there's a shortage of DMs who run the system. And that is, I think, something that 5e's, the difficulty of running a long-term campaign into the mid and higher levels and having balanced encounters and dealing with treasure, and that what I said at the very beginning, this kind of feeling you are the entertainer for the group, providing a tense, safe, a seemingly dangerous, safe experience, makes it, I'm kind of meandering in my thoughts, but that there should be more support for DMs, let me just say that. And the fact that the playtest surveys up now through the third survey do not ask the respondent whether they're a DM shows that they don't seem to care what the DMs, who are the ones who convert their groups to a system, the ones that hype other people and shepherd them to learning the game. It's not simply enough to watch the D&D movie to jump into a D&D game. You need a DM to, be really enthusiastic about getting people to join and to take somebody in and teach them. But yeah, I think there's the play test has been they're doing. Let me try to say it in another way. It's been like putting little band-aids on the system. And if they were to start asking DMs what we want to, if they were starting to say a design goal where they're saying we want to make the game easier for DMs, and we're gonna open the discussion for Megan for people to give us ideas on how to improve the game for DMs, and they start asking that in their playtest surveys, if you're a DM, then there's going to be a whole set of conversations that can cause them to do a whole big shift in the system. An improvement, but not something that they want to happen for various reasons. One of the reasons being the conventional wisdom of 5e is bigger than any previous edition. Don't fix what isn't broken.
So,
corporate America is awful, and everyone has a right to question anything from a big company like this. But if I look at the evidence from the past 8 years, WotC has been pretty transparent and listened to the community quite a bit. When it comes to...
Whoops. I just skipped a bunch. But there's, I was about to say, there's been a lot of unearthed arcanas in the past, especially around Tasha's, in which a lot of D&D players, at least in the online forums, do not feel like WotC listened.
And listen to the community.
Like people complaining the Twilight Cleric was too strong in the playtest, but then it gets stronger,
Quite a bit.
In Tasha's.
When it comes to D&D.
Okay, what's this? Oh, he's saying they've been listening to fans around D&D, and he's conceding that Magic the Gathering has been mismanaged. Yeah, no one's arguing otherwise at the moment. Yes, Sean, the Megan Cam is going well. I figured out what needed to happen. For those aspiring YouTubers, if you want to have a second camera going, you need to worry about bottlenecks. I have a second camera plugged directly into the motherboard and one plugged into my USB bus. Okay.
I just think we could be spending our time and energy better criticizing the actual free and accessible content rather than coming up with fake scenarios about how this is going to ruin the hobby. We're all still gonna get our books. You're gonna pay money for a book. I've seen people be upset that they'll have to pay money for a book.
Wait, what is he? Hey, there's a significant dislike ratio. I have this Chrome plugin that shows you dislikes, and 15 to 1 or 1 to 15 is a significant amount of disliking because no one sees those normally unless you have this plugin. Sorry, I need to rewind a bit. I keep losing my train of thought.
When it comes to D&D, I just think we could be spending our time and energy better criticizing the actual free and accessible content rather than coming up with fake scenarios about how this is going to ruin the hobby. We're all still gonna get our books. You're gonna pay money for a book. I've seen people be upset that they'll have to pay money for a book. Let's just take the time now to make these books and make this game that we all play as best as we can for another new generation of players who are going to play this game.
All right, so he sees two choices. You're either a doomsayer or you're contributing and participating in the survey. I don't think those are the only two positions.
Okay, let's move on. We're done. I'm done with the drama. So far, we've gotten 3 PDFs. The last one coming out December 1st, and it will certainly not be the last. The first PDF, which came out in August, which you can't give feedback on anymore, focuses on character origins, having an entire overhaul in creating your character. Species are updated, backgrounds are updated, so are languages, feats, and some new rules. And in the newest Unearthed Arcana, they updated the term race to species. And so for the entirety of this video, I'm just going to refer to any previously known races as species.
Okay, and on that, they ask in the current survey, do you prefer species versus subtype and a couple of other choices? So they're not committed to that, from what I can see. Yeah, and I don't like dismissing argument as a drama. Like, people should disagree. I mean, you should dismiss people who cross a line and are not being respectful. And doing it kind of dismissing, and some of them were saying them in good faith. Some of those arguments as a drama is a little, I don't like that.
Because that's a new term, and I guess I kind of like it. In any case, in this first PDF, what we got were updated species, backgrounds, and languages, and feats, and a lot of new rules. So let's just... The big thing to mention here is how your background plays far more of a role into your character creation, giving you your ability score improvements, equipment, feats, skills, and proficiencies. Your chosen species now provides you with your size, speed, lifespan, and some cool special traits, like humans getting inspiration when they long rest, dragonborn get dark vision, thank God! Breath weapons are better, dwarves get more HP, and have tremor sense. This is so cool.
From some things I saw, breath weapons are not... There was a recent Dragons book that had better breath weapon for Dragonborns that were not just copied over here, which a lot of people wanted. So it sounds like he's not too deep into the, mechanics.
There's only one kind of halfling now. I like this a lot, and I think it now makes me realize how weird the Lightfoot and Stout halfling separation really was. I could get the whole dwarven blood thing, but I don't know, it's kind of weird. Rock gnomes can make a little trinket that's like a familiar with a lot of detailed rules. Orcs get adrenaline rush where they can dash as a bonus action and gain temporary HP. Tieflings have 3 subspecies which gives them different spells and resistances, and you can be small with most species, which is awesome!
Okay. Tieflings have widespread acceptance.
I really genuinely love this. This not only removes a lot of the stereotypes associated with many of the species, but it also allows so much more creative freedom with character creation. Jeremy Crawford uses the term character fantasy a lot when explaining the design decisions behind One D&D.
The character fantasy that you were going for was playing the sort of the burly figure, which you can make a member of any of the species burly if you want.
Character fantasy effectively being the idea and aesthetic you want for your character. And from my experience, my players tend to already have an idea for what their character fantasy is before they even sit down and start applying numbers to statistics or making choices about whatever their species or class is. And I just see that more often. I think when a lot of people want to make their D&D characters, they already have an idea in their head that they want to try to execute over picking up the book and following what's written in the text as law. Oh yeah, I think I want to play an elf. Let me read up on how elves act. I think it's easy to fall into this mindset of the species should act a certain way, and if you don't play an elf like a distant, aloof, ethereal being, then you shouldn't play an elf. Trust me, I had a whole video explaining the D&D species where the camera was way too close to my face and it was horribly edited and got lots of views, where I perpetuated this idea, which I deeply regret and have since made those videos private forever. I regret it because this is just a backwards way to make characters in a role-playing game. Hey, this is an elf. They're all super light and elegant and dexterous. Have you seen Lord of the Rings? You know Legolas? Yeah, that's all elves. I think it's far more effective for teaching new players how Dungeons & Dragons works to give them the mindset of, hey, if you're a farmer, you get more HP, you're good at handling animals, and you speak Hobbit. It sends them into the game with more opportunity to forge their own story, rather than thinking that they can't branch out from a fundamental being that exists.
Anyway, One D&D, I believe, has removed sub-races for dwarves and halflings, and I think they plan to stick to that, and I feel like that's having choices, diversity among a race, was one way to show not everything is the same. So at least that mechanical thing being lost seems counter to this, idea of race being them trying to move away from species being immutable and the same for everyone within it.
Within this universe. Legolas can't be barbarian, so I'll be fighter and just play a stereotype over I'm gonna be a noble who made a pact with a fae, and yo, I can have horns? And it's not like they completely nullified all of the species, like the argument that everybody always makes. If you play an orc, you're gonna be good at lifting. If you play an elf, you're gonna get spells. If you play a halfling, you're gonna be lucky and go unnoticed. Giving species cool abilities is fun, and tying the ability score improvements to the background just makes sense. Not every tiefling grew up the same, not every elf grew up the same.
I definitely agree with moving racial or ability bonuses away from race, because basically the mechanical thing, which is that it meant that if you wanted to be, let's say, a charisma class, you wouldn't want to be a class that does not give you a charisma bonus. In addition to, moving away from the idea that your race gives you a numerical advantage in this ability score. And while we're there, I don't even know why it's tied to background even. Because now you have a shopping... Anyway, I commented on that in my first Lawyer's Critique video.
Same. It makes backgrounds have more place within the game, and it also makes one of the most fundamental aspects of your character stats not tied to your chosen species. Also, there's no more half-elf or half-orc. You can be half anything. Halfling orc, tiefling elf, dwarf elf. You be whoever you want to be. This is awesome. This is character creation freedom. This also makes sense within the world, too, that not just humans can crossbreed. Like, one even was that, but
I didn't like that they gave no mechanics for people to be of more than one species. Oh my god, 162 viewers, you guys. I am amazed. I feel like this is my shittiest stream so far. My shittiest reaction, because I'm so kind of not coherent with my thoughts. I'm glad people are curious. Maybe people like to see a train wreck.
Should give credit where credit is due. DM's Guild had this nailed years ago, and glad we're finally implementing it, guys. I hope to see more NPCs in the future.
Implementing it by just telling people to make it up? No.
Other types of media that are halves of the various races as well. I think that would...
I'm sorry. I'm waiting for a criticism of something. I want to see... wait. Is he saying one right now? I shouldn't have paused right now.
Guild had this nailed years ago, and glad we're finally implementing it, guys. I hope to see more NPCs in the future of pre-written modules and other types of media that are halves of the various races as well. I think that would help everybody sort of ease into it. I'm just glad this is getting normalized and it's getting put into the core book. I only wish the rules were a little bit more streamlined and actually kind of there. It sort of just says, hey, you can do this. It's like, cool. Can I have more rules on that? I'm sure that...
Okay, there we go. I don't think they're giving those rules, though. They haven't indicated they will.
They're gonna do it. I know it's Unearthed Arcana. Cool. Can I have more rules on that? I'm sure they're gonna do it. I know it's Unearthed Arcana, but I'm just saying that's what I would like to have. Also, huge thing that I love, if you don't like any of the various backgrounds, you can just make your own, and there's rules for it. And that's great. Give us that for half species. You can pick the pre-made options, you can stick to the constructed lore if that's your character fantasy, or you can make whatever you want. Elf, tiefling, guard, wizard, human, dragonborn, mercenary, ranger. Actually, you know what? I want to be a skeleton. A skeleton who stayed alive and became sentient after they were brought to life from a spell and now has to follow around the wizard who brought them back, and they want to be a wizard too. That's a character idea I've had for a long time and I really want to play it, and it's probably going to be possible with just the core book. The Player's Handbook. I love it! The feats have been a bit overhauled, which I really like because feats to me have always felt a little clunky. Just how they read and how many times we've forgotten what they do. There's also just so many of them. But they've been really streamlined to...
Yeah, I think you can't... Okay. With Pathfinder, they silo some things you get from your ancestry or species as... you must be an elf to get, let's say, the wood elf heritage. Then you can get feats that other ancestries can dip into by becoming adopted by an elf. there's ways to multi-class into health, let's say. But there are distinctive things that there's some rails so that you can't just go willy-nilly and be like, oh, I want to get lucky from halfling and dark vision from dragonborn. So there would need to be some guidance. Otherwise, it becomes entirely, on the DM to try to figure out, is my player, power gaming or not? or is this going to have consequences that I am not anticipating that might imbalance the game? That neither party is trying to do.
Fit more into the rules of D&D, and also have
Oh my god, we're at 93 likes and 184 current viewers. The more likes there are, the more this goes up in the algorithm. So, like.
You get these bolded ability lines, which are just great for my brain, and wow, I love alert so much better. Instead of the arbitrary +5 to initiative, you get
I
your
like this
proficiency
change
bonus,
to alerts.
and you can swap initiative with a willing ally.
And they need to let you delay in One D&D, by the way. I don't know why the delay action or delay option isn't there. But being able to change initiative with somebody is pretty cool. It's a little gamey, but, you can, it is a little gamey. Like, say you want your wizard to act first and cast calm emotions or hypnotic pattern. Anyway, a lot of these things in D&D are pretty broken with an optimized group. I'm now suddenly doubting this feat and wondering if it's should be at first level. I'm just, as I speak. Okay.
Oh, the possibilities!
Yes.
Not only getting the proficiency bonus.
This all shows why you need to have a cat cam. This is proof, numerical proof, and we're at 120 likes, everybody. I need to bring more Megan cuteness. Okay.
That levels as you level up, but being able to roll a high initiative and then letting your rogue go first is so much more fun than just +5. You get a discount of items if you have crafter, and whoa, you can craft things faster.
What? He's being excited about this? Is he being sarcastic? Because we have no rules for crafting, and it's kind of seen as, not getting much rule support in 5e. Okay, I see someone added me in chat. Yes, I'm glad the fighter combat show-off video was... that you liked it. Okay.
Musicians let you play a song and gain...
Okay, he was unironically enthusiastic about Crafter. I guess he really likes... He's more of a... What do you call it? He says he's a theater kid. Maybe he likes the idea of crafting, and that's a big part of his games.
Healer lets you reroll ones when you heal. I'm not going to go over all of them, but you should definitely check them out. I really love this. Okay, going over the rules glossary, it's a lot, so we're going to kind of speed through it. There's a new term called a D20 test, which basically means anytime you roll an attack, ability check, or saving throw, that's a D20 test. It makes it easy to communicate rules so that if something applies to all three of these things, then you can just say D20 test. If you roll a 1 on a 20 on a D20 test, it auto fails or succeeds. This is interesting because this also means you can nat 1 fail ability checks and saving throws, and I don't know if I'm a fan of that. I think crit fails should be relegated to attack rolls. Having the +10 athletics barbarian randomly and
Wait, he's not a fan of what? Sorry, multitasking, reading chat, looking at the 191 concurrent viewers.
Auto fails or succeeds. This is interesting because this also means you can nat 1 fail ability checks and saving throws.
Jeremy, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to look at his... I paused at a bad moment. You had said something, Jeremy. I just can't respond to everybody. Okay, this is the problem. Now I dislike having 190 viewers because there are too many people who want my attention. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't like the fail on a 1.
I don't know if I'm a fan of that. I think crit fails should be relegated.
Anyway, that was a poorly presented rule in that playtest. They need to say, don't ask for a roll if you want a 20 to auto succeed in the first place. And here are some reasons why you might want to allow the roll and other situations where you won't. Anyway, and they just presented it without any explanation.
Relegated to attack rolls. Having the +10 athletics barbarian randomly and completely, utterly fail to open a stuck door just feels bad. But I don't know. I think
I read
I'm
you,
cool with
Jeremy.
crit succeeding an ability check or a saving throw. That's fun and exciting. And I know, oh, my balance. I apologize. I would rather have my friends have fun crit succeeding a fireball dexterity saving throw when they have a -1 over the wizard who would spend all their levels and time to get a +15 in Arcana to always have a 5% chance of casting Feeble Mind on themselves. Oh, also, if you roll a 20 on a D20 test, you get inspiration. I like this, but the other way around. Getting it when you roll a 1. They did this. In the future one, they did this. I also think they took away this crit roll. I think I'm talking about this for no reason. They also changed extra crit damage to be only on player, weapon, and unarmed strikes. So basically, magic and monsters can't crit. And while I thought this was really interesting at first, my friends convinced me otherwise. This change is just sort of unnecessary. Like, crit damage on the DM is never going to be that catastrophic anyways, and you're just going to take something away that's fun from spellcasters.
Okay, we're at 198 viewers, 127 likes. Apparently more likes is making this shoot up, and apparently it's doing well, so like more if you haven't liked yet, and also subscribe if you haven't yet.
Plus, on the DM side, I think that DMs should be able to dish out whatever the players can do back to them. I do agree, though, that DMs shouldn't have crits. Instant death to the wizard from a crit goblin arrow sucks, and I put this in the Questonomicon, and people are getting it. It's shipping right now. I haven't even got mine yet. If you've got yours, I'm so jealous. They updated the grappled condition. Big W. Incapacitated clarifies on concentration, and also you have disadvantage on initiative. Love it. Inspiration update. In my games, we've been using the...
And I don't... Anyway, this is just another... I'm just annoyed by the playtest presentation. I mean, disadvantage on initiative. Is this a way to express surprise? Is this our new surprise? We don't know. We don't know why this was changed.
Also, you have disadvantage on initiative. Love it. Inspiration update. In my games, we've been using the coin method where everyone gets a coin that you can use once per game to gain advantage on a roll or a reroll, and you get it back by either being a cool guy, rolling a 1, or if the DM rolls a crit on you. This is similar, so I love it. You get it when you are a cool guy, roll a 20, and you can give it to allies, but you lose it after you long rest, which I'm kind of a fan of and might implement into my games, but we'll see. My players might yell at me. If your long rest is interrupted and you did at least an hour of it, you get a short rest. There's a new slowed condition, which is awesome. Can't wait to see this implemented. It's already implemented in the grappled condition, so when you grapple somebody, you're slowed. This will make it a lot easier for, like, freezing spells to just apply slow.
I don't know if a lot of people... I've not seen... Ooh, we're at 202 viewers, you guys. And 142 likes. I'm getting high off these rising numbers. But I haven't seen a lot of people noticing that inspiration in the latest playtest, you can re-roll a d20 roll after you make the roll now with the revised inspiration, which is how Pathfinder does it, which I think is, more satisfying because you get to remove... They generally seem to want to remove the re-rolling something and spending a resource, and it is disappointing. They seem to want to make that happen less, which I think is good.
Load. Then just be like, oh, they have a -10 to speed and also -1 to AC. It's annoying. Unarmed strikes are also shove and grapple. Big day for monk enjoyers. And spells have been separated into 3 categories: arcane, divine, and primal. Guess what? Love this. I always thought the spells were split like this anyways, and they just ignored it in the books. This just makes spells a lot easier to understand. It also has a lot of potential for the future of magic items and feats and class abilities, where you can just say divine spells instead of the cleric spell list. This also makes sense if we're looking at this from a world and lore perspective. It's likely scholars have already categorized the magic into these categories, and so when you give your players a magic item that uses primal magic, it translates so much better. I think this first PDF...
Okay, I assume not everyone watching has seen all my videos. I can't expect everyone to, but it seems like they are removing a lot of class-specific spells, which I think is a missed opportunity. For example, bards having special magical songs as spells. That seems like there's no plan to implement that because of this decision to simply have classes, their spells be subsets of these 3 spell lists, which I think makes the classes more samey. And anyway, I'm not... and they haven't asked or given D&D players the opportunity to speak on whether that should be an idea or not. Oh, I have a video, by the way, on 5 non-controversial improvements to D&D that they're not considering. So that's something to check out after this.
F has a lot of good potential. I see a lot of what they're planning for the future of this game, and overall it looks like they're making everything easier and a lot more fun. At least that's what I see. Also, Ardling is a thing.
Okay, despite my criticism of the process, that should be better, I do think 6E is just going to be a straight upgrade compared to 5E. And I predict that a lot... Well, no, I won't. We'll see how aggressively they monetize. But I was about to say that most people will migrate over to the new edition. That's what historically happens. But that will be stopped if they really piss off a lot of people in the fan base.
I forgot to go over Ardling. Ardling is a new species that they put into this Unearthed Arcana, and it's like a celestial animal. It's kind of a lot of things all at once, and I didn't really understand it at first, but it's pretty cool, I guess. I mean, you kind of already have Shifter and Azamar, so it's kind of weird to just shove them into...
Hey, I know. I'm going to give some treats to Megan every time we reach another 50 likes. So I have to give her 2 sets of treats after I use the restroom. We have 200 people here, folks. Again. Uh-oh. Meow. Okay.
The one creature. I don't know, that's my opinion at least. On to PDF 2, Expert Classes. Before we continue, it should be noted that Jeremy Crawford has stated that anything within the newest One D&D UA supersedes anything in the previous. So it's likely that everything I just explained to you might be different now. It is.
The one main thing to keep in mind as people playtest is that the rules glossary of each UA supersedes the rules glossaries of any previous One D&D UAs.
Which is great. I love updates. They're trying lots of new stuff. I'm here for the experimentation. Anyways, expert classes. All of the classes are now divided into categories that
They need to say why they're doing these substitutions, though.
suit them. Experts, mages, priests, and warriors. Experts being bard, ranger, rogue, and artificer, because they each get expertise. Mages being sorcerer, warlock, wizard. Priest being...
Is it artificer or artificer? I gotta do a poll. Let's have some engagement here. I want to know what you say. Only the important questions here, folks. I think I learned from my anniversary stream to have more fun with these. Like, artificer just doesn't sound... It doesn't come out of the English tongue easily. Like, when I heard that Eidolon was pronounced Eidolon, ugh, I didn't like that. Come on, Megan.
Cleric, druid, paladin, and warriors being...
Oh, but I biased it with my own opinion. I should have been more scientific about that. Say what you truly feel. Say what you thought before the stream.
Barbarian, fighter, monk. I did something similar in one of the first videos I ever made on this channel, where I was trying to help explain classes to new players, and so I gave them a sort of simplified version of the class's role within the game, and that a well-balanced party has one of each. And that looks to be present here, which is awesome and kind of crazy, because, like, did I do that?
Okay, because I'm not sure... I know it says that in the playtest, but I don't know if a druid and the cleric complement each other. Those are two different class groups, you know? Anyway, it just seemed like something to say. I just don't know if it actually is real advice.
No, I didn't do that. I didn't conceive the idea of class groups. That's a thing in every game. But also, this allows for
and they're from second edition, the exact same groupings.
Group other than specific classes. So if a new class becomes a thing, they can just slot it into one of the groups, and now it's not weird that they can't attune to a staff of power. Also, this is great for homebrew. If you make a homebrew class, you can just say they're a warrior.
Artifice. It's from Artifice. Okay. People cannot... Are people able to see the results? I'm going to end it now. 110 votes! Wow! Okay. Here we go. Alright. 78% say Artificer. I just think it's easier. Artificer. Blech.
And now they plug into the rest of the game. Big changes to Bard, which I deeply welcome. This introduction text is awesome and something the community has been voicing for a long time. Bardic Inspiration is a reaction now! Thank God. This is way better than wasting your bonus action to be like...
I would love to play at a table with him. Just some, like, a fun person.
A D6, add it to your roll, and then they've already rolled, and they've hit, and you sit in your corner and cry. It can also heal. Wow, I said that Bard should have more of a support role, and everybody was mean to me.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
They're also trying to put a lot more per-use abilities to proficiency bonus, which is great. This just makes it easy to remember, and the scaling is fair. With each class, they're also...
Yeah, but they also have very few, if I recall correctly. They had, like, 2, their proficiency bonus until level 5 for the whole day, I think? I don't know if you caught that.
Giving automatic spell choices in case you don't want to pick, or you have a new player that doesn't need a giant list of spells to pick from. Bards can also replace spells on a long rest, which is great. I really hope they do this with every class, because there's nothing worse than picking a spell and then realizing that you didn't like it, or it doesn't fit, or it's just...
Anyway, I don't know if I said this in one of my videos yet, but I think Death and Dying should be revisited in the healing system, because there's a number of complaints about it, and also how it interacts with and exacerbates the problem of making challenging encounters, balancing challenging encounters. And it would seem like, but because of the piecemeal nature of the playtest, they're not getting at that. We're getting it's structured like a tour of the various class groups right now.
Bad, and then you have to wait to level up to change it.
Anyway, this is just one of the things where I'm like, oh, like, I feel like there could be, some more tools for DMs, and to allow tables to get the level of danger that they want. Do they want to have yo-yo healing, for example? Or do they want it to be more lethal? Is there something in between the two extremes? There's... the questions are not being presented, so there's no way to have input unless you write in those little comment boxes. So that... I know a lot of people are coming from... other audiences in this stream. I just want to give one concrete example of, I think, where Wizards it's not as rigorous a playtest process as it should be.
Or just beg your DM to change it, which is what we all do anyways. That's the thing with One D&D. A lot of the changes are just little homebrew things that we've all been doing for years, and they're just making it official, which is a win. New second level ability.
Having it
Songs
as a
of
reaction
Restoration,
is just
which
better.
Is a point I made in my video. Giving bards
Otherwise you
spells
forget
that
it.
are flavored like songs and adds to spells that are always prepared is great. Makes them feel like a support class. Gives them more of a role within the book. I like it. I only wish that the song prepared list would be different.
So, bards have songs, but it's healing word song. Anyway, I just think, yeah, there could be more. In 3rd edition and 4th edition, definitely had more unique, flavorful mechanics to express the bard, I think.
Based on your subclass, but I'm happy with it either way. It's a cool second level ability, and it's nice that every bard will always have healing word prepared. That's a nice thing to give them that isn't just jack of all trades. 7th level, if somebody rolls a 1 on Bardic Inspiration, it isn't expended? I really like 1D&D. You feel bad for rolling a...
Okay, I'm going to do a litmus test of this audience today. Do you like that healing word is a bonus action spell in the game? And I will not comment on it. All right. Because that clearly is what I just mentioned earlier. They should look at the healing system and the death and dying system, because as of right now, either the party's not threatened because of healing word. Anyway, I'm skewing the poll. I will talk about it later.
1, but that +1 could still turn it into a success. And then you feel even better because you didn't expend the inspiration. But it isn't like a permanent +1 or anything like that. But you could like keep rolling ones with it, and it's just so cool. This is just straight up fun, and it's gonna make bards feel awesome. And with each class,
Wait,
Crawford
I just
explained
missed
that they're
something.
gonna
I'm
make
sorry.
the previous... You feel bad for rolling a 1, but that +1 could still turn it into a success. And then you feel even better because you didn't expend the inspiration. But it isn't like a permanent +1 or anything like that. But you could like keep rolling ones with it, and it's just so cool. This is just straight up fun, and it's gonna make bards feel awesome. And with each class, Crawford explained that they're gonna make the previous 20th level ability now level 18, and now at 19th and 20th level, you get a feat and an epic boon.
Now, every class, what was previously their 20th level feat.
If he's not critical about the epic boons, which I just strike me as meh. Anyway, maybe I think he just didn't read it as closely as some of us did. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Sure. They now get an 18th level.
Over the years, I have ridiculed the level 20 abilities. They are so anticlimactic, and they make it not worth going to level 20, except for like a few classes where it's like extremely overpowered. I'm glad they finally listened to this, and they didn't just take away the level 20th ability. They made it earlier, and they let you pick a level 20 ability. Like, it's the best of both worlds. These are changes and things I've wanted for a long time. I feel like I was heard. 6th level Cunning Inspiration for Lore Bards lets you effectively roll Inspiration with advantage. Can't wait to see the other Bard subclasses. Ranger got a giant overhaul. There's a lot. Let me just put forward, I love all of it. It's awesome. I've made videos about this in the past. I'm not saying they did this, but I genuinely feel like Wizards went and watched my entire video catalog and went, okay, there's some valid critiques in here, let's try and fix it. And the critiques were like,
I'm a 20th level ranger. I can destroy you. You don't stand a chance against me.
Wow, that hurt more than normal.
Die.
you've stuck with your patron, you've gathered all the power you can, and now you are rewarded with getting all your spell slots back only after a minute. Oh! Devotion, oh. What's it gonna be? You can hug puppies as a free action? Alternatively, if you fail an ability check, you can... You can... treat the roll as a 20. This is why you never see high-level rogues in D&D! At level 20, you gain the greatest ability known to many wizards. The legendary power, the one true achievement for not cross-classing and playing a campaign up to this point and gaining this much power! You can cast 2 third-level spells without using a spell slot. This is why wizards are overpowered! Wait, what the this actually sucks. To devastate universes, to conquer unknown lands! You spend a minute and gain all of your spell slots back, once per long rest. Rangers get cantrips and spells at level 1. They get expertise. You always have Hunter's Mark prepared. You don't...
So, he should have looked at the epic boons and, evaluated them, and he didn't. Because as of now, because multiclassing is now core, you have to compete against dipping 2 levels from another class. And if Action Surge, for example, is still available for the fighter, that's going to be a very, very sexy 2-level dip, to be able to cast 2 spells, 2 very high-level spells. So, anyway, they're very meh to me.
You don't have to concentrate
the
on
epic
it. Oh my
boons.
god, this is so good. The ranger gets to have the identity of a hunter. You get to pick fighting style feats even if you're not in the warrior group. You get a climb and swim speed and a plus 10 your speed. You get temporary HP after resting and can heal levels of exhaustion from short rests. The weird vanish ability that gives you 1/3 of a second level.
So, this is just an observation. It's not a criticism, but he's looking at everything that's an improvement to a class and just getting excited, but he's not thinking about the, what this might mean for, I don't know, maybe he doesn't have experience with optimizers at his table, or people who look for advantages and power game, because I think the Ranger right now is a very appealing level 1 dip. You get spell casting, you get medium armor proficiency, you get shield proficiency, you get martial weapon proficiency. So, yeah. Anyway.
Level rogue ability now just turns you invisible. Hunter subclass lets you deal extra damage if they've taken damage already, and it's a D8 so people can stop calling this bad sneak attack. You can learn immunities and resistances and vulnerabilities when you use Hunter's Mark. Playing a ranger now doesn't feel so weird, like you have to ask the DM what kind of monsters or what terrain you're going to be encountering in the campaign, and if you pick the wrong one, then you're just useless. Now you just kind of adapt to whatever the game is. The 14th level ability lets you redirect damage, blind sight, Hunter's Mark damage upgrade. Yeah, it's very good. Rogue.
Wait, Hunter's Mark damage upgrade. You just a minute ago said it sucked, and it went from 1d8 to 1d10, I believe. Whatever. Maybe he was to serve that little mini skit he had.
They made it easier to understand sneak attack. Thank you. 13th level rogues get subtle strike, which lets you gain advantage on attack.
Okay, for those not in the know, there's a huge community uproar over the change to sneak attack. You can now no longer proc it outside of the rogue's turn, which a lot of optimizing groups were doing. Like having the rogue inflict sneak attack damage as a reaction when an enemy moves away from the rogue, things like that. And what am I thinking? Oh yeah, he thinks that rogues are one of the best classes, and in optimizer circles they don't think that. Anyway, I don't have any real thoughts at the moment. I'm just spouting.
Now I was within 5 feet. Yeah, not much, but rogues were already kind of super simple and a really good class, so but they did do a lot of new stuff to Thief, which is great. You can now take the search action as a bonus action, which is a new action that lets you roll wisdom to roll insight, medicine, perception, or survival. I also like that they specify that insight is a creature state of mind, not a lie detector test. You also get a climb speed now, awesome, and you can use Dex for the jump action. That's a new thing, there's a jump action. The new jump action isn't as simple as the old jump rules, but it does make a little bit more sense, as the old jump rules were just like, you can jump this much, and that's how far you can go, and if you want to go more than that, I don't know, ask the DM. Now when you take the jump action, which uses your action, you roll a DC 10 strength, acrobatics, or athletics check, and you clear the...
And my criticism of this on my videos has been that it's an action, and that's a big cost, and that either it should be a bonus action for all players, or by default, or change the action economy. If not to Pathfinder's 3-action economy, at least 4E system of having, well, not 4E system, but a version of that, of having a main action and 2 relatively minor actions that this could be, which could also include movement. Why am I saying this? Anyway, this is just me and me spouting off what I think. But he's kind of doing a survey of things and kind of saying this is cool, that's cool. I don't know if this is the kind of... I don't know if he really is much into a deep dive, especially since it's a playtest. So...
The distance...
I think he's kind of banging this video out because he knows it's going to be watched right now.
Feet equal to the roll's total, so long as it doesn't exceed your speed, but it doesn't expend your movement. That's neat. I know a lot of people are going to be upset that jumping isn't just a part of your movement, but I think when you're maneuvering around a battlefield and you need to jump to somewhere and you want to go really far, and instead of just shrug it...
Okay, but come on, taking away I jump over the cliff and attack the monster, taking that moment away. I'm going to end this poll now. It was about 50-50 on whether people think Healing Word should be a bonus action. And it's kind of a packed question. I can see why someone might be... might say yes, because it's necessary in the context of the system as it currently is. But my criticism of it is not the spell per se, but I think it's symptomatic with how when you get past a certain level, you can cast so many healing words because it's a first level slot, and the way spellcasting works with flexible spellcasting in 5e, kind of like the shield spell. And what happens is that either nobody dies in a battle, or everybody dies because one of the characters with healing word got knocked out, or all of the characters with some healing got knocked out. But anyway, that's one hot take, but I'm sure I could say a lot more about it.
And the DM just sort of...
We're at 220
as
viewers.
They go, having this hard rule that, like, if you want to jump really far, you have to spend your turn doing it. Just makes sense. And you can also go really far. Like, if you're trying to run away or you're trying to get somewhere, like, you can just go further. You can dash, and then you can jump if you're a rogue. Rogues can jump gooder. I think that makes sense. And they use magic devices better now. Instead of just ignoring requirements, now you gain an extra attunement slot, and if you roll a 6 on a d6, when using a charge, you don't use it. And you can attempt to use any kind of spell...
Michael Twilling says, this video feels like it's more of a big fan first reaction to One D&D rather than someone who was taking an objective look after critically thinking about the stuff in the playtest. I think he doesn't have the kind of growing sense of, I feel like, at least on online, of trepidation about the new edition, particularly with the new financial monetization revelations that are coming out. I just think that's where he's at the moment. It might change. And anyway, I think when the final version comes out, I would definitely like to know what Jacob things at that time.
Spell scroll. This is so cool. Horizontal gameplay. This doesn't just make the numbers go up, it makes you have cool abilities. 14th level, you get 2 bonus actions that you can use a number of times equal to proficiency bonus, which is cool, and also the 3rd level ability from Baldur's Gate 3, which is insane, and I'm glad it's at 14th level. Okay, lots of new changes to feats as well. Feats are also now level locked, which is great. This allows for feats to just be on one scale that's balanced to that level. And
Speaking of, I'm going to point out, I'm going to show a thumbnail of something. Where, yeah, 8 months ago, they talked about feat stacking, about having feats become requirements for other feats, which sounds scary for people coming from 3rd edition and 1st edition Pathfinder of feat chains and having to plan your character 8 levels ahead. However, what is potentially positive about that is the idea of there being some showstopper rock'em sock'em feats that are not available at 1st level with Versatile Human, which the way 5e is currently designed, you can't have feats go above be too sexy, or else everyone's going to take it at 1st level. But we haven't seen anything suggesting they're going to do this at the moment. I don't think any feat requires another feat as a prerequisite. And why would you want that? Well, for example, in Pathfinder 2, there's a feat that... What's an example of a chain? That's just an improvement on a previous feat that makes it... that couldn't have been offered at the earlier level because it would have been too powerful, but it just upgrades it. And as long as the feat chains are not too long, that you're like making these elaborate plans 10 levels ahead, it seems like a design space that should be explored, but it hasn't been hinted to us that we're going to see any higher level feats than level 4. But then they have not been really transparent about what they're going to show us overall. We have been told that we're going to hear more about weapon abilities. Here comes Megan. Megan's coming back. It's the return of Megan. She got in the mood again. However, get your treats. Come on. Yes, you're a good girl. Yum yum. Crunch crunch. Ooh. If you like Megan, press like. We're at 181 likes, everybody. Okay.
And it doesn't just flip-flop out of balance constantly. And when you get a feat, you don't have to scroll the list of the million feats from every book. Instead, you get a smaller choice. This also opens the door for more powerful feats instead of all feats having to kind of be on the same level. If you have to be 4th level to get a feat, it's going to be stronger than one that's 1st level. Lots of spell changes. A lot of the spells have changed their school type, like Dancing Lights is Illusion instead of Evocation, Thunder Wave, and Shatter.
Okay. I'm sorry, but if they really wanted players to know, to give feedback, they needed to like indicate what changed from 5e when they presented this chart.
Transmutation.
Oh, did you hear Cat ASMR? Did you hear her smacking on the... I should do that next to the Oh, when we get to 200 likes, I will have Cat ASMR. I'll have her eat a treat near the microphone.
Than evocation, blindness and deafness being transmutation instead of necromancy, sending being divination instead of evocation, cure wounds being abjuration instead of evocation. They really didn't know what to do with evocation in 2014.
Wait, did they do an asterisk every time there was a change? Maybe I just misspoke there.
It's destruction from Elder Scrolls.
How did you know all that?
Destruction from Elder Scrolls. It's destruction from Elder Scrolls. Evocation is make fire or lightning. That's what it should be. Most healing spells are abjuration now, which makes a lot more sense. Also note, anyone who can cast a spell can ritual cast. Beforehand, you had to be a cleric.
That's so funny. Healing spells were evocation, I think, in 3rd edition. I could be wrong. And then they became necromancy in Pathfinder 2nd edition. And here it's conjuration. Nobody knows what to make healing spells.
cleric, druid, or wizard in order to ritual cast, but now, as long as you can cast a spell, you can do it. And the ritual caster feat lets you
That's a
do it
good
faster.
change.
Rules stuff. There's a lot more new rules. And just to specify, since it's important, the newest PDF is the most current version of the rule changes, so it's almost redundant to go over it now. On to PDF 3! This PDF brought us lots of new rules and the cleric, along with updates to Dragonborn and Ardling. This one also contains a little bit of a roadmap for the future. I'm most excited for new weapons, creating a home base, and encounter building. Wow! One D&D just sounds really cool. I'm really excited for it. The cleric got a lot of changes, gaining a new ability with their channel divinity called Divine Spark, where you can roll a number of d8s equal to your proficiency bonus to either deal damage to a creature or heal them. This is a fun little ability to give clerics that really encompasses their identity and I think levels up very nicely. Turn Undead now makes creatures dazed, a new condition, which says you can only take an action or move on your turn. It removes your bonus actions and reactions.
Just on the level up very nicely, Treant Monk did a video on how it levels up too nicely. I think he was talking about the level 1 ability just there. I got distracted by my cat. That it's based on your proficiency bonus, how many times you can do it per day, and it scales with your proficiency bonus. So you just take one level of it.
I really hope this replaces Stunned. Stunned sucks. I'm just not a fan of taking away either an entire player's turn or an entire monster for a turn that everybody will have advantage on and kill very quickly. Dazed, to me, is just a really good medium in between the two. You slow a creature down instead of taking away their entire turn, so they have to go twiddle their thumbs and do nothing. Glad they came to play D&D. However, Turn Undead alters this dazed condition further by making it so they have to dash on their turns away from you. I honestly wish it was just days and they didn't add this part. I get that we want to implement the undead running away from the cleric in fear, but I think that this can feel really weird on a more powerful undead like a vampire or a lich. So to counteract that, they just make those creatures immune and that's that. This ability only works on tiny undead. So if the DM wants to run a combat with a horde of zombies or skeletons, the cleric uses their first level ability and boom, the encounter is done. And yeah, that's cool, but I don't know, I just don't think it's very fun, especially for the DM. I would want to remove this and just make it dazed.
While dazed in this way... Okay.
Not only is this simpler, like I can already imagine players getting confused because they didn't read two
All
text
right.
boxes down.
He's thinking about his DM experience and his frustrations, so good on him. He's getting critical about an ability.
And are only focusing on the dazed condition aspect, and then it wouldn't be too bad to take away turn immunity from more powerful undead. Maybe they just get advantage on the whiz save now. Dazed is not nearly as bad as your BBG running away in fear, and I think that that would be really cool for some clerics to use their turn on a lich to stop them from doing multiple actions on their turn. Maybe you could even remove a legendary action? I don't know, I'm just spitballing. At level 2, clerics get a new ability called Holy Order, where they can choose Protector, Scholar, or Thaumaturge, where they get different abilities based on each one. Protector gives you weapon proficiency and heavy armor training, Scholar gives you extra skill proficiencies and an added wisdom bonus, and Thaumaturge gives you a cantrip and you can gain channel divinity use on a short rest. I don't have much to say about this other than it's cool that clerics have this nice little ability that can differentiate between one another. But these new abilities come at a cost. You now get your cleric subclass at level 3 instead of 1. This is one of the few things I'm not a big fan of. Crawford explained that
The trend for the whole playtest is going to be subclasses at 3rd level. Here's why. What we have seen over the last 8 years is classes...
Okay, I have a thought on this,
subclass
and I'm
choice
going
at
to
first level.
be here
They are
for it when I'm not needing to pee. People who know me know that I frequent pee breaks because I drink lots of water. 5 more likes for making ASMR. Okay.
Walker for brand new players. We've designed first level to only last a session or two, and then you're You're moved along until you finally make that meaty choice of subclass at 3rd level. When we ask you to choose a subclass at 1st level, we are suddenly asking you, who may never have played D&D before, to look at every subclass option for that class before you've even played the class.
That's
And make the most important decision for your class
For
that
your
you will
future.
make. Even for a veteran D&D player, that's a tall order sometimes, because you might be coming to a class you've never played before. I want to give the cleric a try. 1st level, choose your subclass and look at every subclass in existence.
Which makes sense, and yeah, it's cool to now have abilities at levels 1 and 2. I just don't think this is a flavor win, because clerics have a god that they follow, and sure, you can make that choice at level 1, but you won't feel its effects until level 3. Also, if we're afraid of overwhelming new players with choice in D&D, by the time they're going to choose a subclass at level 1, they've already been presented with 12 classes, 9 species, 18 backgrounds, and they will need to choose proficiency in 18 different skills, and if they don't pick a background, they'll need to flip through the 10 different level 1 feats, and that's one D&D. That's not even compared to what we have now. Now, I'm not trying to say I dislike any of this. I don't think any of these choices should become lessened. I like that there's a lot of things to choose from, but I've had my fair share of players who are new to D&D, and to be honest, their issues were never, there's too many choices. It's almost always, what does dexterity do? Why am I getting this bonus? Which one is the D8? It's weird to me that they think players will be too overwhelmed by choice from subclass right after they've made a lot of choices already. I think most new players are going to have an easy time understanding that their cleric serves a god.
This is one of my thoughts too. I'm agreeing with this thought here.
God, and that God encompasses an idea. What idea is that? We all learned about Greek and Norse gods as kids anyways. This is an easy concept to understand. If we really want to mitigate this choice problem, have new players take the quick build and have them choose life domain, which Crawford already explained is like the default cleric subclass anyways.
We give, in the past, we would recommend you take what we think of as the default subclass, because we designed a default subclass for every class with beginning players in mind, or veterans in mind who are trying a class out for the first time.
Also, the auto spell choices make this even easier. And then, if we want to preserve these level 1 and 2 abilities, I don't know, just keep them. Level 1 and 2 is already kind of crappy to play in anyways. Maybe we should get some new abilities at levels 1 and 2 along with the subclass. Anyways, long rant over. Crawford explained that they want to do this with like every class, and they've wanted to do this for a long time. I could get over your cleric subclass being at level 3, but I don't think I could do the same for warlock or sorcerer. This just actively makes no sense and would be really frustrating for us veteran players who still enjoy playing at level 1. I just don't like the excuse that like, oh, if you want your subclass, then start at level 3. Like, I like playing at level 1, and I don't want to have to pretend that I know what my subclass is going to be at level 1. And please, just put Paladin Oath at level 1, I'm begging you. How does it make any sense that you get magical abilities from an oath when you haven't even made the oath yet? You don't even know what your tenants are, and you can cast Lay on Hands. Anyways, at 18th level, they upgraded to...
Okay. All right. So Jeremy Crawford gives 2 reasons for moving his subclasses to level 3, and Jacob here only covers one of them. That one was the not to overwhelm new players with another a major choice, and of your subclass. And I agree with Jacob here. They're already choosing a class, and you can already solve this problem for the new player by doing what they do already in this playtest of giving a suggestion. And if you want to shop for options, here are the options. So that would be the life domain. The second concern that Jeremy Crawford raised was the preventing the level dip. And there are some well-known level dips in 5e for subclass abilities. I think a big one is Hexblade for the Warlock, which lets you use your charisma on your attack and damage with a weapon. And so they want to move these subclasses from 1st level to all up to 3rd level. And I just think that is a clunky, kind of lazy way to do it, because it presumes that Hexblade is going to stay the way it currently is. And so therefore, the only way to fix it is to change all of the levels for every single class in the game to accommodate a few outliers like Hexblade. And then you have the issue with the Cleric where, as Treant Monk's video shows, the life domain ability that you would have gotten at first level in 5e being lifted to third level doesn't prevent this from being an attractive level dip, because now you've replaced that first level subclass feature with a class feature at level 1 that is more powerful, that scales with your proficiency bonus. I forget the name of it, Divine Spark or something. And you haven't solved your problem. And so you had this design goal and you did not follow through on it. So pretty shoddy work there. I am happy that they have said more about their design goals, so that there could be a critical eye on how they're meeting those goals, which they weren't being as open about earlier than a few weeks ago. But they still have a long way to go to be more transparent about what they're trying to do with their design goals. Okay, that was my long rant. Okay, oh, Megan Cam activate. Oh, we have 202 likes. Oh, I had my Megan Cam on. Oh, okay. All right. Gonna give Megan a treat. Come on, Megan. You deserve it. You know, while I was replaying my drunk stream video and the video of me screaming like a fighting cat was replaying, Megan ran into my room again and meowed. She did that 3 times today. Okay, Megan. Come on. Right here. No. Why is she... The food's right there. Stop licking my fingertips. Oh, she's like showing affection. It's not just about the treat, it's about love. Come on. Do you not want the treat? Oh. Okay, that was a nice break. We're gonna go back. Ooh. Our viewers increased to 230 while Megan...
Divine intervention to potentially get it back even quicker, which is neat. Now we move on to character species, which this UA has explained why they've changed the name to species. I'm definitely down to start using the term. It's a lot more fitting, and I did it through this whole video, so yeah. It's gonna take some time getting used to.
I agree with what someone said. It seems too sci-fi for a fantasy setting. I think they don't want to be accused of copying Pathfinder because ancestry is the best word. Origin is too much the territory of what background is. Subtype is also weird.
It's kind of hard to say over race, like species is. Honestly, I just think we'll refer to each species at their name, which, you know, we kind of just do already. But they've updated Ardling and Dragonborn. Ardling now having more of a focus on their bestial nature over the celestial, which I think is a good move. It was definitely getting a little complicated. It was a big mishmash of a lot of ideas. And there's a cool ability you get now that links to a type of creature, which I think is really fun. And also should just be wild shape, but that's just me. Dragonborn breath weapons are now whenever you take the attack action. Hell yes. You can choose to do a line or a cone.
Oh,
Hell
lineage is
yes.
a good one too.
And Dragonborn can
lineage
fly
and
by
heritage.
default without that feat from Xanathar's Guide. I'm not a big fan of being able to fly at level 1, but I'm happy with it because it's limited to 10 minutes.
Sorry about my cat's butt. Wait, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm getting distracted. She's like smelling and sniffing. I think there's some intoxicants in this thing. She gets really... I wonder if there's like catnip in here. Okay.
minutes per long. Hell yes. And Dragonborn can fly by default without that feat from Xanathar's Guide. I'm not a big fan of being able to fly at level 1, but I'm happy with it because it's limited to 10 minutes per long rest. And it has this
10
really cool
minutes.
flavor text that
Oh,
explains
it's at
that it's
fifth
made out
level.
of the energy from your breath weapon, which is just cool. Also, we got Goliaths. I'm super happy they're putting Goliaths as a default species with their relation to giants. There's also giant ancestry, and you can now be associated with any of the various giant types. You can also grow and get big. I love this a lot. Powerful build is a little better, letting you have advantage on ending grapples. Overall, just love this update to giants. Can't wait to see lots of new characters and concepts and NPCs with this new update. And they made a changelog for this one. That's great and makes things so much easier. And for spells, aid, banishment, guidance, prayer of healing, resistance, and spiritual weapon all got updates. I'll just put them on the screen. The attack action now lets you equip a weapon for free. Makes sense. Who was actually using the equipping rules anyways? Grapple condition, where you can gain the slowed condition when you grapple someone. You can attempt to escape at the end of...
His table wasn't using the equipping rules. Okay, Megan, settle down. She's all over. moving
each
everywhere.
turn rather than using your action, and you have disadvantage on attack rolls against anyone except the creature who is grappling you. Does it make you slow if you're grappling something 2 sizes smaller? Carry that fairy like a football. Grappling is now like a legitimate tank strat. There's a new action you can take called Influence, which is effectively gamifying a charisma check, which was originally detailed in the DM's guide, but they simplified it a lot more here. Basically, you can roll animal handling, deception, intimidation, or persuasion to change an NPC's attitude, which I think is a great way for DMs who have no idea how to run NPC interaction to rule the checks. And maybe this could start affecting spells in interesting ways, where Charm Person could make an NPC go to friendly. Overall, it's neat, but it requires a lot of us to actually start using the rules. So they've updated Long Rest. It now clarifies on HP maximum reductions, exhaustion, and reduced ability scores. It also now gives back all your hit dice instead of just half, and makes it much easier to figure out when you can long rest by specifying you have to wait 16 hours over the 24 hours, which was confusing. I also like that combat and casting a spell interrupts the rest and you need an extra hour. That is just really accurate. When I wake up at 3 a.m. to Marcy crying and wanting to play for an hour, I definitely need that extra hour of sleep. Now, instead of the casting a spell
Is that
action,
his
we have
wife?
the magic action, which is effectively the same thing, except it also
That's kinda
includes magic
personal.
items. And now there's specifications on True Sight and what you can see instead of the vague description from the 2014 PHB. Oh, and Tremor Sense doesn't count as seeing the creature. I like that. Okay. That's mostly everything. I know there's a lot
Oh
of
my
other
God,
things
we're
on
almost
this, but
done.
hopefully
It was like a
that's enough
survey.
of the big stuff to get you to understand kind of what One D&D is. If I have any final sentiments
Aw,
to
Megan.
give some sort of conclusion to this video,
She's
I
getting
would say
too
that
wanting
I'm
this.
really excited for the future of D&D. I love a lot of these new rules and changes.
All right, let's
To be
have some
honest,
discussion.
we already homebrew rule
Oh,
half of
his
them. I'm just happy
baby.
to see that they're taking
Okay.
the feedback that we've been giving to great effect. Can't wait for all the new stuff, and make sure to go vote on the survey. It's really important that you do that.
All right, awesome. Okay. Yeah, well, I think a lot of folks are happy to see some new changes to the game that they like and are not tending to move away from. And that's a number of people. I do think not the majority of players who play D&D will move on to a game like Pathfinder. And Pathfinder is not best for every group. I do think that Pathfinder does tactical crunchy better, and that there are systems that do rules light narrative better. I think the strength of 5e is that it's kind of in the middle. It's serving a number of audiences in maybe not an ideal way. Let's see what people are saying. Oh, the dislikes definitely came from that dismissive comment at the start. Yeah, I think that's right. When he was like saying you guys are calling WotC a greedy corporation, and he was disagreeing with that. Okay, Kevin is not gonna watch XP to level 3. Watch his skits. I love them. They're great. If you want that. What else do I want to say? Yeah, I think that the main... I think overall, my prediction, let's say this, is that most people will migrate to the new edition, and that those who have been dissatisfied and wanting some improvement and looking with hope to the new edition, that there's going to be some more fundamental improvements to the game in whatever direction that they hope it to move in. They'll use that occasion to off-ramp and check something else out. I think that D&D will continue to be the number one TTRPG because of its advantages of network externalities. It's easier to find other people who play D&D or something similar to the current edition, which will be 6e, than to find assemble a group who are playing a different game. The X factor, I don't know if that's the right term, the variable is how aggressive they are going to be with the monetizing, and whether they're going to start, asking players, for example, to pay a subscription to become players, or monetizing, if you use the VTT, having to pay for certain options for your character, like mechanical options. I don't know. I don't have a prediction of what they'll do there. But also they might peeve a bunch of third-party publishers if they are, which might get a rebellion of sorts for people to use the 5e OGL to continue publishing for that. If there's that kind of fracturing, and more people looking at, being at a decision point of what am I going to play now that the main system is charging me this money that then I think it could be an exciting time for the hobby where some greater sector section is going to be looking at alternatives. I think there's going to be a big flowering of the OSR, Rules Light, and Pathfinder. So those are my predictions. We'll see. Are there questions? I don't know what else to... Okay. I'm reading your comments, the most recent ones. There is a video that came out. Maybe I'll share it with you and watch it with you. It was shared with me, but there was a nightmare scenario. It was the middle portion of the video that I remembered. This is it. I'm going to play it for you because I don't know if everyone has seen this. And this video has gotten a lot of play. It's gotten a lot of views. Where did that portion go? Oh, yes. Board games. Philip says I have good taste in board games. Yes, I love my board games. Where is the timestamp? Wait. No, this is not the right one. Okay, here we go. I'm going to play it. It's just a few minutes for y'all. It's, I don't know... this video, being a critical person myself, like, of the One D&D process, I thought this video was kind of alarmist. But I actually think she's onto something now. Some of the things that she's about to show... anyway, I don't have as much knowledge about how video games are monetized. I don't play a lot of modern games, video games. But the current CEO of Wizards of the Coast, Cynthia Williams, comes from Microsoft and Xbox. And, and she... Discourse Minis, who does this, her channel's usually not focused on D&D, but she clearly had a lot wanted to make this video. but she seems to have more knowledge of video games and how they're monetized than I did. And that was the example given to the investors in that fireside chat by Watsy. So I'm going to play this. I know not everybody expected this, but it presents something that will spark discussion.
Here at Hasbro Wizards, we believe that Dungeons & Dragons is under-monetized. Step to the fore. One D&D, the virtual tabletop future of Dungeons & Dragons, where we have solved the #1 problem with the game. We just couldn't get enough money out of you. One D&D represents an exciting new realm of adventure for players and DMs alike. For the player, they can pay a monthly subscription fee for the basic classes, species, and spells. And for Dungeon Masters, how about our premium Dungeon Master package of pre-made adventures and access to the Dungeon Master's Handbook? Sounds exciting, right? But don't worry, there's more. We now also sell all kinds of premium services, things that might be new to players and Dungeon Masters out there. So for the players, find yourself dying in combat too much? Not to worry. Get a death save reroll for only 200 Astral Diamonds.
Astral Diamonds, I laughed at that because I know how they make you pay in something, some different currency that doesn't feel like your money. And they also give you schemes to... anyway, I won't spoil anything, but yeah, the VTT is it can be a walled garden, and for you to walk in and have a certain character expressed, there may be microtransactions about that. Now, this was not revealed, I would say it's not revealed in that fireside chat, because the phrase that Cynthia Williams used was to give players more opportunities to express their fandom, which I think is like, to me, suggests cosmetic skins and dice and not mechanics. But if it got into mechanics, that would be pretty skeezy. That would be pretty what can I say? And I also just anyway, I think it'll be fun to have a little exchange over this.
One D&D's new premium currency. Want to buy a new subclass for your character? 4,500 Astral Diamonds, please. We'll even throw in a free level up so you can try out your new subclass. That's almost a 100% value saving. Want a cool new magic item? Don't want to go through the adventure path season grind? Well, buy your way to prestige magic items for a mere 10,000 Astral Diamonds. Court the jealousy of your fellow players. But remember, they're just cosmetic. We don't sell power here. Yet. How about some convenience though? Why not buy to skip those annoying first 2 levels and start at level 3, getting access to your class features immediately? There's an introductory offer for new players of only 1,500 Astral Diamonds for the first 2 level skips. That's half price on the second level up. Think of the value. But don't worry, Dungeon Masters, we've got exciting things for you too. There's plenty here. We offer premium pre-made adventures complete with voice-acted NPCs for a mere 5,000 Astral Diamonds. Buy individual quests for 2,005 Astral Diamonds. Want to set your new dungeon in the lush rainforests of faraway Exoticotica? Well, new dungeon biomes can start at only 1,500 Astral Diamonds. Add some character to your adventures. NPC profile pictures start at only 200 Astral Diamonds. You can get 2,000 Astral Diamonds for only $10. 5,000 Astral Diamonds cost only $20. Or you can check out my favorite package. 1 million Astral Diamonds can be bought for only $450. Wow, what a savings! This is our biggest value package ever, so you'd best act now. Offer ends this Sunday. And remember, the store is rotating, so log in every day to check out your exclusive deals. And for those who don't want to pay anything, you can get all of this for free. Simply recruit 5 friends onto the app and you'll get 50 Astral Diamonds for free. So there's no excuse not to enjoy. Welcome to One D&D, the future of Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. Welcome, Razal Cool. Yeah, I'm learning the streaming thing. I got a cat. I think my getting drunk and embarrassing myself has broken the glass. Watch my Kill the Rules Lawyer stream for that. Yeah, my thoughts. I thought that the fireside chat, that the monetizing D&D Beyond definitely is what a lot of folks latched onto. I think first that in the eyes of the investors who were listening to it, that the main news was what they call the 4-quadrant strategy. I honestly think investors could care less about, what was important to them was they heard that 20% of the users of D&D Beyond are the dungeon masters who spend the majority, and there's going to be some plan to monetize the other 80%. Okay, so that aside, but I still think in the big picture that that's a small part of what they hope will happen. They hope that the movie next year and the AAA video game will make it a one, it's a household word spoken at cocktail parties. That's what Chris Cox said, that more people recognize the name Dungeons and Dragons than Magic the Gathering, and so they plan to turn that into spending money, and that the movie will generate interest in the video game will generate interest in toys and merchandise, the movie will generate interest in toys and merchandise, and that the tabletop role-playing game is just one portion of this bigger pie that they see growing. And in the whole purpose of the fireside chat was to allay worries among investors, because Bank of America had just downgraded them as an investment, because reporting that they had mismanaged Magic the Gathering. That came out in November, and this fireside chat came out at the end of November or early December. And they were trying to respond to some of that criticism from the B of A report. And then they ended, their final note was, let's look at what D&D's growth can be. So I'm not ruling out this aggressive monetization. However, this is the logic of where things are going. And I think that if the growth of the brand and its financial, and I think they want to increase profits for either WotC or D&D by 50% over the next few years. If the brand grows and is meeting those goals from the movie and the AAA video game next year, Baldur's Gate 3, that would tend to make things safe for D&D Beyond, the players on D&D Beyond now, because they'd be less feeling like they have to milk it. However, that doesn't rule out them concluding that we're having this huge influx of new players. Let's say there is a huge influx of new players exploring the TTRPG, which I'm not sure is actually going to be true from a movie or a video game. That was the logic that Wizards had in 2008. People like the World of Warcraft, which is like D&D in a massive multiplayer RPG, they're going to like D&D, tabletop game. That logic may not necessarily be true. But so let's say, let's assume that there is this huge influx of new players. They're not going to have the same expectations that this current generation of players will have of having a physical book and not having to spend for new player options. They're going to come in brand new. And if the influx of new players is going to dwarf the current community, they may very well decide to aggressively monetize, and because they're going to lose some players, but the profits will... what they gain will be greater. So these are like three scenarios. There's the things stay the same, and the the movie and the video game are not that successful, so they try to milk D&D Beyond like they've been trying to milk Magic the Gathering and strain the current player base. They grow to some extent and they don't feel that same pressure, or they vastly outgrow and have a new influx of TTRPG players that they say to hell with it to the current player base. So those are my that's my prognosis, those three scenarios. So I was planning to make a video on that, but it got overtaken by the new press release. Okay, so what are people saying? Another thing too is that it may be a walled garden. If people will, people use D&D Beyond nowadays. A lot of people do, even for in-person play. If there is dependence on that tool, and the new OGL could very well preclude anyone else from creating a similar tool, then the one could see them installing a toll booth on the highway and charging for some things. Maybe bad for D&D, the hobby, for the D&D community, but people will still be playing TTRPGs in that case. I think it would be kind of actually it could be a real silver lining there of people checking out more games instead of being in a D&D bubble. Even Hammers thinks it's going to be cosmetics for players and for DMs. Oh, things are scrolling too fast. It's going to be art assets for dungeons. And maybe, pre-made adventures. I saw a video recently that had this, that showed 2 recent articles that were exploring having an artificial intelligence be a dungeon master. And, saying that a few years from now, that might seem like science fiction now, but AI is advancing and that could become a reality and might be a way they deal with the DM shortage. And this would be through the walled garden of the One D&D virtual tabletop, which would also help explain how little concern they have for making DMs have an easier time in the current playtest. Astral diamonds. I just love that phrase. Drifter says it's too consistently lucrative a model for them not to, I assume talking about the microtransactions. Oh, I got another contribution. Thank you, great role-playing Debbie. I'm curious to see how they link this, quote, it's a fantasy movie, to the TTRPG. Those movies where you're like, oh, that was a true story. That's what I'm concerned may end up happening anyway. Yeah, I'm just not quite sure how it becomes like people who want to try out the game. Everyone who's going to be watching the movie will know there is a tabletop game out there. It's going to definitely lift further the stigma off the game and make it seem more like a mainstream thing that everyone does. People checking, even a broader circle of people checking it out. And that they may very well go to a video game to see what that's like. And video game being either Baldur's Gate 3 or the digital version of the tabletop game, which they'll market as the original game, the original role-playing game that birthed, every other role-playing game. You can see that happening in 2024. But the quantity of that growth, that increase in interest, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Aaron Mortar says about AI DM about downloading, talks about downloading, they'll figure out how to download Matt Mercer's brain. See, Steph asks, why not make DMing easier? See, the whole problem, there is the, financiers and investors don't know the player base. And it may very well be the same wrong assumption made with 4th edition D&D. That of kind of losing sight of what makes tabletop... Okay, I'm liking 4E for what it is so far. I'm going to have to give this preamble, and I'm testing it out with a group of mine on my side channel. But it did seem like that they were going for, let's make the game more like, have some aspects of World of Warcraft, and that's not a criticism, and go after that millions of people around the world market. And the thing was that, and we're seeing this with the recent resurgence of interest in D&D, that there is an interest in having that face-to-face interaction. And we're seeing the growth of board games, too, over the past 15 years. There's a growing market of people who are looking for ways to be social, often in person, using their creativity with other human beings, that a digital that if a 1VTT DM-less experience, it doesn't even have to be modeled after DM. It could just be play your D&D character through this Baldur's Gate-like adventure on our virtual tabletop. It could just be even that. That's not I'm losing my sentence on my thought. They shouldn't lose sight of what makes TTRPGs distinct, and serving the DMs who make those the TTRPG make that unique game possible. Okay. Some talk of Matt Mercer checking out Pathfinder. That would be awesome. I mean, he played Pathfinder 1E, and he does seem like he would like more crunchy games and or ways to challenge his players more easily. Okay. If there's no other questions, I think this is a good time to wrap up. I'm really happy we had such a big audience today. On XP to level 3, I really enjoy his skit videos and some of his the points he makes. Here it was I did not agree with him on the dismissing the skepticism of WotC's profit drive. And I don't have as much optimizers at his table, so he doesn't have the same eye looking at the health of the system, mechanical health of the system. He does have the experience of being a beleaguered DM, which is a shtick in his skits, though. And so I actually, before I log off, I heard from somebody that he's played 2D20. Any other systems he has tried out or played? I'm curious. Because I do have my open invitation to other D&D YouTubers to try Pathfinder and join my Crown of the Kobold King campaign. When does Macon get a channel? She has a channel. She's sharing. I mean, I could have a live stream, like put a GoPro on her head. Maybe that's an idea. They played the Horror Candles game. Is that what it was called? Matt Mercer's played Deadlands. I'm asking about Jacob. Like, what has he played? Well, and also what... I also want to know what Matt Mercer has played. I want to know everything. Matt has played Honey Heist. What is the appeal of 2D20? So I haven't heard of Jacob trying other systems besides 2D20 and a little 3.5. Matt says Pathfinder 2 does not fit their style. They don't want more rules and crunch. Yeah, I hear some of the players have trouble with the crunch that's in 5e. I do think that a GM with a good knowledge of the rules can help, can kind of erase the rules kind of for players, and the action economy is simpler. But I don't think they could get past maybe the first several levels, though, for some players to really start to panic. Jacob played Pathfinder 2e until his Illusion of Choice video. No, you're thinking of Cody from Taking 20. 2d20 is a roll under a number. 1 is a partial success. 2 over is a full success. And 0 over is a fail. So it has a degrees of success system. I like that. It's the Modifius Games Company house system. It's a dice pool system with a decent meta currency to enable a bit of both GM fiat and player fiat in an adventure. It sounds rules light then? Okay. Okay, but yeah, I think that, I think he and his group have been happy enough with 5e that he's, not branching out at the moment. But there might be cracks in the edifice as people check out more things because of WotC's current direction. We'll see, which might change the YouTube algorithm environment, shall we say. And D&D is generic for just... A lot of his skits are kind of system agnostic, too. Okay, I think I'm going to check out... Got my questions answered. I think we've covered the topic for the day. Again, if you haven't yet, like and also subscribe to my channel, but also join my Discord where I have a channel if you want to suggest further videos to react to. I'd love to, do more reactions like this. I enjoy these. So that's it. Anyway, had a good time. I hope you like the setup. And some of these board games in the back too, I may do some videos on, by the way. I will see you later.